Whoever has the plumbers owns the market. Do I have your attention? Is that true? Hey, I'm Dennis the Apprentice on most socials. I spent 25 years building my company. I eventually sold to private equity, and it was beautiful and it was special. And now I call that what I developed as the picture perfect culture. And one of the beliefs that I came to believe in creating the picture perfect culture is that whoever has the plumber owns the market. And so I started to see my plumber as my primary customer. Like you hear about the customer is always right, but um, actually, I can get more customers, but I can't get more plumbers. So I've started. Maybe we call them callers. I can get more callers, but I can't get more plumbers. There's not enough plumbers. Maybe there's a time when there'll be too many plumbers. I can't see that happening. For the most part, there are not enough plumbers, right? And so the more plumbers you have, the more calls you can take. And so really the limiting factor in all this is, do you have enough plumbers? You hear a company will say, I'm booked for 3 weeks. Well, get yourself some more plumbers. But how do you do that? So that's the part of the picture perfect culture that I developed, was realizing that my plumber was my primary customer. So I built a company that plumbers like to work at. I saw them as my customers. So yes, I figured out that I needed to be good to my customer too, of course, right? They are a customer, not my primary. They're maybe my secondary customer. And for them, I focus on being clean, on time, and professional. And that was super important to them. That's what they valued. And so that's what we provided. And we gave them options and let them buy from us. We, instead of being a high pressure sales company, we became really good at really knowing what we're doing so that we could give lots of options and let them buy according to how they valued the situation. And it worked for us, right? But back to the plumber is your primary customer. During the Great Recession, there was a time when there was not enough calls. And we got cut in half and then cut in half again during that time. It was a horrible time. And excuse me. So as we were building back up, I interviewed a plumber and he was really good. I checked his references. He was really good. But back then I'm still trying to be honest, but honestly, I couldn't guarantee this man full-time work. And so I didn't hire him. And he's like, why wouldn't you hire me? I'm a licensed plumber, got good references. And I said, well, I can't promise you full-time work. And so just a few months later, I was at one of those BNI meetings, those network meetings in town, local ones. And I recognized this guy, and he was right in front of me. And he wrote when he signed in, he wrote his name, and that looked familiar. And then, you know how you don't recognize people when they're out of the situation, right? And then he writes the name of his little company. And I'm like, what? I've never heard of that company before. I'm like, I recognize you. He's like, yeah, I interviewed with you a couple months ago and you didn't hire me. I go, oh, what are you doing here? He's like, well, I started my own company. And I'm like, oh, dang. Oh, good for you. Right? Like, shoot, this is weird. And dang, I didn't hire him. And so he started his own company. And so I started thinking about that, right? But I didn't have enough calls. Fast forward a few years, once I learned how to run my company, once you get all the systems going, your marketing going and your recruiting going and your training going and your sales training going and your technical skills, there's so many things to get going, right? Like this, I'm not saying this is easy, but from that point, 10 years later, I figured out that if I just hired a plumber, the calls would come. And here's why. You see, there are calls when someone calls a plumbing company, it's It's not, I'm kind of thinking about it. Like a lot of times people don't call them as they have something wrong. And it needs to be dealt with today, right? For a lot of customers are trying to get something dealt with today. And if I hire if a plumber comes to me from company B and comes to work for me, plumber A, let's call me. And what happens is when those calls come to shop B, they can no longer take 3 or 4 calls a day because that plumber's gone. And so then those calls say, I'd like to use you, but you can't serve me and I can't wait, so I got to go somewhere. And so they start calling around. And if everybody's busy, but you have the new plumber, you have the plumber now, and you have a capacity for 3 or 4 calls, those calls will come. They'll find you. There's a law. This is actually a law. Nature abhors a vacuum. Have you ever heard that? Nature abhors a vacuum. So when you bring a plumber on, again, you can't just go hire 12 plumbers and expect the phone to ring. You got to get all your systems going. But once you get there, you can literally add a plumber. When you train one up, you can put him on the road, or when you find one, you can put him on the road. And what that looks like is when you have all your systems going, you call up the truck company and say, I need a new truck. And for me, they just delivered it and I just signed for it. And then I would onboard my plumber. I'd take him a couple of weeks and I'd train him up and I'd have him go out with the guys and get to know the guys and get to know our systems while I was racking out the truck and getting the signs, getting it wrapped and everything ready to go. And I also had tiled up my marketing just a little bit to make sure I had enough calls. And 2 weeks later, he's in a truck and we're off to the races. Isn't that cool? Now, it took a lot of work to get there, but we got there. We got to the point where we could add a plumber whenever we wanted. And so then it was a matter of how fast can I train plumbers and how fast can I attract plumbers. And that also means, remember when I said the plumber is your primary customer? A lot of companies, when I work with companies, I find a lot of companies, they're recruiting to replace. They're replacing plumbers. Well, why are they replacing plumbers? Well, because plumbers are leaving. Why are plumbers leaving? Because there's things broke in the culture. Maybe they're not charging the right price. Do you know to create this company, you have to be profitable? Like this all is interconnected. You have to charge the right price. You have to know what the right price is. Then you have to know how to present it to the customer so the customer will buy from you. But you have to do those things so that you're profitable. And then on the other side of profit is fun. You don't do all these things and then hope for profit. When you do all these things, profit comes. And then when you're profitable, then you can afford to do the cool things that make your plumbing company the company of choice. You want to be the shop of choice in town. So when plumbers get discouraged where they're at, or like, you know what, I've had it with this company, they think of you. When plumbers move to town and they go to the supply house and they say, hey, I'm new to town, who should I call? The supply houses say, call your company. That's what happened to me. I would go to the supply house. I heard this all the time. I'd go to the supply house and they would say, Dennis, I don't know what it is, but your guys are the happiest. I know it sounds crazy, but your plumbers are literally the happiest plumbers in the whole city. Like everybody else kind of comes in grumpy and, it's a hard work and they're tired and they want to go home. Your guys just kind of come in happy and content and cheerful and chipper and motivated. Now it took a while. But that's what I call the picture perfect culture. It's a culture where plumbers like to stay and they stay because they can thrive, because they can make good money. There's plenty of work. They can go home when they need to. They make great money and there's a purpose. For us, our purpose was training. We got a kick out of bringing someone new on, like an apprentice, and training them up and getting them into a truck and seeing how good they did. And the whole company would kind of rally around our apprentices. And so we attracted plumbers that wanted to teach, and we and it kind of became an obligation of mine. I had to make sure I had good apprentices. If I had an apprentice that was just there for a job, they would get flushed out pretty quick because my plumbers were expecting, hey, we want good guys that want to learn. And so we did that, and it kind of created this purpose where the guys liked to bring apprentices on and wanted to train them and then see them go. And it was just as important. It was just as important. They were already making good money, but there's a point where more money doesn't make you happier. Now, if you don't have enough money, that's hard to imagine, right? But there's a point where if you have enough money, you don't get much happier, and so you need a purpose. And our purpose became helping young people get going in the trades, or finding someone that maybe was in new construction or remodel work and teaching them service, teaching them how to please a customer and how fun it was to present some options and let people buy from us. And we're always shocked how much people bought from us. And you would think in service, you'd think we did a bunch of small jobs. We had big installs going all the time, bigger and bigger jobs. And so, yeah. So do you understand that your primary customer is your plumber? And if you don't, I invite you to explore that and think about that and figure out, it worked for me. It helped me create a picture perfect culture. That was one of the beliefs that I learned to believe in that helped me create the picture perfect culture. The picture perfect culture is where the customers are happy because they get good service at when they need it, at prices that they can afford, and they get to choose what they want, and there's no sales pressure. My techs are being trained well. They don't have to high pressure sell. They make really good money, and they get to help train the next generation. And then the owner's happy because everybody's happy. It's a fun place to work. There's profit. And then when there's profit, we get to do the cool things and make ourselves cooler and cooler and cooler and making ourselves the company to work, the shop of choice. That's what, when you focus on making your company the best place to work for plumbers, it'll change everything for you. Hey, if you like this kind of stuff, like and subscribe. This is the content I'm doing. I was successful in business. I figured it out. And I am shocked at how many plumbing companies are struggling. If the trades are so great, then why are so many broke? Right? And if you are a contractor and you're out there and you're making it and you're going for it, congratulations. But just like me, I needed several coaches. You may need a coach, but join my school community. My school community is free. On there, you'll find lots of videos like this. I'm trying to help you, teach you how to create the picture perfect culture where everybody's happy, everybody likes to work, everybody stays, and everybody builds, and we see how good we can be. So like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then that's where you get this stuff. Subscribe so you get alerted when my next video comes out. And then another place to get more information and more tips on how to create that picture perfect culture, go to my school community. I'll put the link in the description of this video. All right, best luck to you.